Jiraiya, our pervy sage, who proved his power when he fought Hanzo and that massive salamander Ibuse during the Second Great Ninja War. From that point on, Jiraiya's name spread absolutely everywhere across the ninja world. Powerful groups like the Uchiha clan and the Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist didn't even want to go head-to-head with him. Even Kisame and Itachi, two absolute top-tier members of Akatsuki, admitted they could only fight Jiraiya to a draw, even if they teamed up together. That shows just how insanely strong Jiraiya really was. The secret behind his insane power was Sage Mode. He learned senjutsu from Mount Myoboku, letting him absorb natural energy and boost his speed, durability, and physical strength to completely superhuman levels. Now, Jiraiya never fully mastered Sage Mode. His appearance would get all frog-like with weird bumps and stretched out limbs, but he could actually maintain it for a crazy long time in battle by summoning Fukasaku and Shima, the two great toad sages, and fighting alongside them. The Hidden Leaf literally asked Jiraiya to become Hokage 3 times, and they would have asked a 4th if he were still alive. That's how much the village respected his power and leadership. Even Kakashi, one of the strongest ninja the Leafs ever produced, said it was basically ridiculous that Jiraiya could ever be taken down in a one-on-one fight. Even Nagato himself admitted he would have totally lost if Jiraiya had known about the 6 paths of pain ahead of time. That shows how insanely dangerous Jiraiya was when he had full intel. And even after he died, Kabuto still considered Jiraiya one of the ninja he most wanted to bring back for the war. Despite being absolutely Kage level, Jiraiya chose to wander the world instead of sitting on a throne. He spent his life traveling everywhere, gathering information, building his intelligence network, and writing novels. And during his wild journey, he also took on a bunch of students, passing down his knowledge to the next generation. Nagato. Nagato was Jiraiya's talented student and also the most dangerous enemy he ever had to face. Nagato came from the Uzumaki clan, rocking the legendary Rinnegan since he was a kid. Even though those eyes didn't originally belong to him, his Uzumaki bloodline let him use both Rinnegan at full power with 0 side effects. To put that in perspective, Obito struggled insanely hard just to use a single Sharingan, and he literally had to modify his body just to handle it. Under Jiraiya's training, Nagato showed off absolutely insane talent. Thanks to the Rinnegan, he mastered every jutsu Jiraiya threw at him, different fighting styles, all the basic chakra nature transformations, and even yang release. That level of mastery is super rare even for grown, elite shinobi, let alone a 10-year-old kid. Because of those eyes, Jiraiya honestly thought Nagato might be the child of prophecy, the one destined to change the entire ninja world. The Rinnegan gave Nagato the full power of the Sage of 6 Paths. He could use all 6 legendary abilities: the Diva Path to absolutely control gravity, the Animal Path to summon endless monsters, the Preta Path to absorb chakra forever, the Human Path to rip out souls, the Asura Path to turn his body into deadly weapons, and the Naraka Path to connect directly with the King of Hell. Nagato could swap between these powers instantly and seamlessly, making him almost impossible to counter. And the scariest part? The Outer Path. With it, Nagato could summon and control the Gedo statue, create those black chakra rods to dominate others, and even use Rinne Tensei to bring the dead back to life. That's power that completely transcends normal shinobi limits. His real strength shows in his track record. Until Naruto showed up, Nagato had literally never lost a fight. Kabuto himself ranked Nagato as one of the strongest shinobi ever brought back by Edo Tensei. Konan. Konan was one of the OG founders of the Akatsuki, alongside Yahiko and Nagato. From childhood, Konan had a natural gift for origami, but instead of keeping it as some cute hobby, she leveled it up into the dance of the Shikigami, a totally unique fighting style. With it, she could transform her entire body and clothes into countless sheets of paper, all under her perfect control, able to change shape, color, and movement however she wanted. Back when she was still training under Jiraiya, her paper was super vulnerable to fire and water, but as an adult, Konan could harden her paper with chakra, turning it into spears, shuriken, and chakram-style weapons. She could wrap up enemies completely, suffocate them if she wanted, and even create paper clones stacked with hidden explosive tags. Even Jiraiya's fire release. Flame Bullet barely scratched her. Konan could actually overwhelm fire with her paper techniques. Her paper didn't seem affected by water either, which earned praise from her master. Her true peak was the legendary Paper Ocean against Obito. Konan set up a flawless trap, disguising her paper as the waters of a Megakure, then opening it into a massive abyss filled with 600 billion explosive tags, detonating non-stop for 10 whole minutes. Sadly, what ruined her was the forbidden Uchiha hacks, Izanagi, something she didn't know about. Otherwise, she had him completely dead to rights. Yahiko. Yahiko was also Jiraiya's student, trained alongside Konan and Nagato, but sadly he died way earlier than both of them. He was the natural leader of the trio. He was also actually the original leader of the Akatsuki, and every single member respected him. In terms of raw fighting power, Yahiko wasn't on Nagato's level, and we only ever saw Yahiko's strength as potential. Hanzo set up a dirty trap that forced Yahiko to sacrifice himself to save his two best friends. That moment shattered their dream of peace completely. Even after his death, Yahiko led Akatsuki in a twisted way. Nagato used Yahiko's corpse as the Diva Path, the main body of the 6 paths of pain. It showed how both Nagato and Konan still saw Yahiko as the heart of the group, even when he was gone. And Diva Path was terrifying. With its godlike gravity powers, it carried out massive destruction. It was Yahiko's body that killed Hanzo, the man who caused his death in the first place. It was Yahiko's body that destroyed the Hidden Leaf Village, and even helped kill their own teacher Jiraiya, the one who had taught them about peace in the first place. In every battle, Devapath was treated as the top priority, the main face of pain, and the one who delivered Nagato's words. Minato Namikaze. Minato rolled into the Konoha Academy with one simple dream: become Hokage and earn that respect from the villagers. When he got assigned under Jiraiya, the dude instantly spotted Minato's insane potential and took him on as his personal apprentice. Jiraiya even believed Minato might be the child of the prophecy, the one who'd literally saved the world. Speed and mobility, that was Minato's whole brand. His Flying Thunder God technique, inherited from the second Hokage, hit absolute perfection in his hands. Even the original creator admitted Minato's skills with it were superior to his own. The dude could instantly teleport to any location marked with his seal, giving him tactical advantages that were basically impossible to counter. Enemy shinobi literally had flee on-sight orders when they saw him pull up. That's a recognition level almost nobody ever reaches. The Rasengan story just shows how crazy innovative Minato was. It's the ultimate shape transformation move, no hand seals needed, making it a perfect fit for his high-speed fighting style. His combat feats are legendary. In the Third Shinobi World War, Minato single-handedly wiped out like 1,000 Iwanin, forcing Onoki himself to swallow his pride and sign a peace treaty. Jiraiya taught Minato a ton, summoning toads, barrier ninjutsu, sealing jutsu, and other high-level skills. But Minato's natural talent and absolute dedication made all of that even stronger. We just didn't get to see everything on screen. And yeah, maybe he wasn't the child of the prophecy, but honestly, you could easily call him Jiraiya's most perfect student. Naruto. Here we go. The son of Minato and the final student of Jiraiya. After his dad's death, Naruto became the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, Kurama. The whole village basically hated on him, scared of the monster inside. But instead of turning bitter, Naruto grew into this loud, stubborn, super energetic kid. And that's when he met his dad's old teacher. Jiraiya handed down the core skills that built Naruto's entire power set. First was the Rasengan, the most important technique, basically a legacy move Minato left behind for his son. Jiraiya also taught him to summon the toads from Mount Myoboku. That opened up a whole new world for Naruto, connecting him to natural energy that only truly special shinobi could tap into. But Naruto didn't just stop at copying what Jiraiya taught. He evolved the Rasengan into the Rasen Shuriken, mixing in wind release chakra to create a weapon so destructive it shredded things at the cellular level. On top of that, he mastered balancing natural energy perfectly, surpassing even his master in Sage Mode. Still, Naruto's real strength was carrying out Jiraiya's ideals. The fight against pain proves it all. He pulled off the one thing Jiraiya couldn't. He talked Nagato down and brought him back to the right path. When Naruto finally became the 7th Hokage, he fulfilled the prophecy Jiraiya believed in. He not only united all the ninja villages, but also created a whole new era of peace that had never existed before. Naruto is absolutely the most living, breathing, legendary legacy of Jiraiya, no doubt about it. Orochimaru. Orochimaru is a natural-born genius, like crazy gifted. Even Hashirama Senju, the first Hokage himself, praised him. That means from day one, Orochimaru was absolutely on another level compared to his peers. He was even once considered a legit candidate to be the fourth Hokage. His power comes from this ridiculously deep knowledge of ninjutsu, like wider than any shinobi in history. His snake summoning is honestly one of his flashiest trademarks. He can call Manda, the most powerful giant snake, or just casually spit out endless snakes from his sleeves and even his mouth. And these snakes can literally spit blades out of their mouths to deal extra damage. But his absolute peak move? The 8 branches technique. This jutsu transforms him into a massive 8-headed, 8-tailed serpent, like on the same insane scale as Manda himself. That's monstrous. Then you've got Impure World Reincarnation, the jutsu that shows just how ridiculously smart Orochimaru really is. He took Tobirama Senju's forbidden technique and actually improved it, making it possible to bring the dead back with almost all of their original power. That's some god-tier scientist-type stuff. And let's not forget the cursed seals, Orochimaru's insanely creative way of messing with senjutsu. His body wasn't strong enough for full Sage mode, so he found another way to tap into that Sage chakra. These seals not only boost the power of whoever has them, but they also act like an extension of his own awareness, letting him keep tabs on anyone he's marked. More importantly, they work as anchors for his consciousness, meaning he can revive himself again and again. Basically, infinite respawns. At the end of the day, this dude is absolutely the greatest scholar in the entire series. Anko. She's the student, and the only kunoichi who actually survived Orochimaru's brutal experiments. Orochimaru passed down a bunch of his signature techniques to her, especially the hidden shadow snake hands and even stronger variations of it. Then he hit her with the cursed seal of heaven. Out of 10 test subjects, only Anko survived. The cursed seal left a mark on her. Later on, though, the seal got erased when Sasuke revived Orochimaru, using her as a medium. Her immunity to poisons, something Orochimaru originally gave her to control her, ironically became one of her biggest assets later in her career. Add in her skills with fire release and yin release, and you can see she totally expanded her arsenal beyond what she was originally taught. Her tracking skills were so good, she got assigned to hunt down Kabuto Yakushi, an extremely important and insanely dangerous mission. Thanks to the techniques she learned under Orochimaru, she became a ridiculously skilled scout, able to hold her breath and stay hidden for absurdly long periods of time. Kabuto. He's the student who actually surpassed Orochimaru and became the single most important player in the Fourth Shinobi World War. Kabuto's mastery of medical ninjutsu is absolutely insane. He can perform the mystical palm technique from a distance, invented yin healing wound destruction just to keep test subjects alive longer, and uses chakra scalpels like legit weapons. His ability to sever someone's chakra pathway system is wild. It can even stop a Jinchuriki from accessing their tailed beast's chakra. But the real turning point was his transformation after infusing himself with Orochimaru's remains and unlocking Sage mode. From that moment, he stopped being just a support-type shinobi. He gained the power of the White Snake and developed a completely new chakra signature with massive reserves. Kabuto's body modifications show off his genius-level knowledge of human anatomy. He replicated Suigetsu's hydrification to slip out of danger, copied Karen's Uzumaki regeneration to heal like crazy, and absorbed Jugo's Kekkei Genkai so he could passively gather natural energy. That combo gave him indefinite Sage mode usage, an advantage that not even perfect sages like Naruto had. Then comes his impure world reincarnation mastery. Kabuto claimed he perfected the jutsu, able to reincarnate dozens of people at once with their full power, something even Tobirama, the original creator, could never do. And just look at what he did with Madara's reincarnated body. He restored Madara's youth, and even granted him the Rinnegan plus wood release. That level of control is absolutely terrifying. Sasuke. Sasuke represents one of the most complex twists in any teacher-student relationship. He's the student who used Orochimaru as a stepping stone to gain power, then completely rejected his master's philosophy once he didn't need it anymore. After witnessing the Uchiha clan massacre by Itachi, Sasuke got totally consumed by his desire for vengeance, and when he started feeling left behind by Naruto and frustrated with his slow progress in Konoha, he chose the darker path. The Cursed Seal of Heaven was Sasuke's first major power boost from Orochimaru. This seal dramatically boosted his chakra reserves, physical strength, speed, and healing ability. At level 2, Sasuke could grow wing-like membranes to fly and glide, regenerate limbs using snakes, and enhance his defenses. He handled the Curse Seal with way more finesse than Orochimaru's other victims. The snake-based ninjutsu Sasuke picked up shows Orochimaru's heavy influence. Moves like the Hidden Shadow Snake Hands and the Binding Snake Glare spell became part of his arsenal. But the cool part is that he adapted those techniques to complement the Uchiha fighting style, instead of fully becoming a clone of his master. Kenjutsu training with the Kusanagi sword turned Sasuke into a deadly close combat monster. He literally wiped out 1,000 people under Orochimaru's training. Sasuke's evolution went way beyond Orochimaru's expectations. Chidori variants like Chidori Nagashi and Chidori Senbon showed just how insanely creative he could be with lightning release. And then you've got Kirin, his masterpiece, a technique that uses natural lightning, guided by fire release, to drop a completely devastating strike. That's innovation he pulled off totally on his own. But once Sasuke felt he had learned everything Orochimaru had to offer, he literally killed his own teacher. Tsunade. Yeah, people literally recognized Tsunade as the strongest kunoichi of her era and the greatest medical nin in shinobi history. Her life force and physical energy were absolutely insane. She could fight at peak performance for half a day straight without tiring. Even when taking fatal blows, like literally being split in half, she could stay conscious and keep going. That's god-tier endurance only her special bloodline could pull off. Her taijutsu was basically max efficiency. Don't be fooled by her slim appearance. She had inhuman strength, splitting the ground with just a finger tap, or casually lifting and throwing Gamabunta's giant sword with deadly accuracy. Thanks to her expert chakra control, she could focus all her power into a single strike, maximizing the damage to the point she even broke through the so-called absolute defense of Susanoo with one clean hit. The Strength of 100 seal is the ultimate example of her patience and long-term planning. She stored chakra into this seal for years, and when she released it, she accessed chakra 100 times her normal amount. Orochimaru himself described it as a form of immortality he envied. Once activated, this technique let her heal any wound instantly, automatically, without even using hand signs. Her medical knowledge went way beyond basic healing. Tsunade could diagnose problems just by looking and treat conditions everyone else thought were impossible. She healed psychological trauma from Tsukuyomi, repaired Rock Lee's shattered spine, and neutralized the effects of the three-colored pills. On top of that, during the Second Shinobi War, she created antidotes for Chiyo's deadly poisons, cementing her rep as an absolute medical genius. Her summoning, Katsuyu, could split into pieces for communication, transport, shielding allies, and even remote healing. By linking with Katsuyu, Tsunade could monitor and heal multiple people across the battlefield at once, basically multiplying her power on a tactical scale. She also built the entire modern medical nin system, setting standards and protocols the whole shinobi world followed. When she became the 5th Hokage after Hiruzen's death, it was unanimous recognition of both her political and military strength. Shizune. Shizune was the niece of Dan Kato, Tsunade's lover. After Dan died and Tsunade dipped from Konoha out of grief, Shizune made the choice to follow her as both apprentice and right hand. Her poison specialization really showed off her tactical intelligence. She could literally breathe out poisonous gas that was fatal with just a single whiff. Her senbon and kunai coated with poison could debilitate or paralyze someone off just a tiny scratch. On top of that, she had a wrist-mounted launcher to rapid-fire senbon and could even shoot them from her mouth, showing crazy versatility in how she delivered her attacks. Shizune's refined chakra control let her do super complex procedures like regenerating injured tissue with brand new cells, where even the smallest mistake could be instantly fatal. She also led advanced techniques like the healing resuscitation regeneration technique, showing she had the calm leadership skills to handle insane high-pressure situations. Her consistency was no joke. After Tsunade stepped down, Shizune kept assisting both the 6th and 7th Hokage, proving her expertise was recognized across different eras of leadership. That's proof of her reliability and absolute competence. Shizune's legacy is all about consistent excellence. She held it down in a support role, kept critical medical knowledge alive, and set the standards for future medical Enin. Sakura. Sakura's whole story is one of the most inspiring glow-ups in Naruto. She didn't have a crazy clan bloodline, no tailed beast inside her, nothing OP from birth. She started off as just a totally normal civilian girl. That's exactly why her journey feels like the ultimate underdog story. Her natural genius and chakra control was the secret weapon. She mastered tree walking before Naruto and Sasuke, even though those two had way bigger chakra pools. Her insane precision also made her way less vulnerable to genjutsu, which gave her tactical advantages in battle. After 3 years of non-stop grind, Sakura finished the 100 seal, a feat that showed pure patience and insane dedication. When she popped that seal, she could heal herself automatically and non-stop while fighting. No breaks, no downtime. Plus, she could even transfer chakra to allies mid-fight, making her a clutch support too. Her medical ninjutsu got praise from absolute legends. Tsunade, Naruto, Kakashi all gave her props. Even Sasori, a master of poison, acknowledged her skills. And when Hashirama, the god of shinobi himself, suggested Sakura might be stronger than Tsunade, that's unreal recognition. She even cooked up an antidote for Sasori's unique impossible-to-counter poison, proving she wasn't just strong, but also insanely innovative. During the 4th Great Ninja War, Sakura showed off by summoning Katsuyu. Shizune was blown away when Sakura had the slug split up, attached to tons of allies, and heal them remotely. Managing all those healing connections at once takes god-tier multitasking and chakra control. After the war, Sakura became head of Konoha's medical department, official recognition of her expertise and leadership. She literally went from the weak link of Team 7 to running the entire medical division.
Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage, and this is where things get really interesting because we're looking at arguably one of the most complete shinobi to ever exist in the Naruto universe. First off, context matters here. Hiruzen was trained by both Hashirama and Tobirama, the 1st and 2nd Hokage. Yeah, he learned directly from the guy who could literally reshape continents with wood style, and the man who invented half the forbidden jutsu in the series. That's like being mentored by both Einstein and Oppenheimer at the same time. Now, what made Hiruzen special as both a shinobi and a teacher? The man knew every single jutsu in the Hidden Leaf Village. Every single one. We're talking about someone who mastered all 5 nature transformations, could use techniques from every category, ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, and had the battle IQ to know exactly when to use what. His hand seal speed was absolutely ridiculous, and his tactical mind was sharp enough to go toe-to-toe with Orochimaru, one of the most cunning villains in the series, even in his old age. When he fought Orochimaru during the Konoha Crush, he was literally an old man, way past his prime, and he still managed to seal both the reincarnated 1st and 2nd Hokage, plus take away Orochimaru's arms. Orochimaru straight up admitted that if Hiruzen had been just 10 years younger, he would have died that day. Yeah, that's what you'd expect from the student of a legend. The legendary Sannin. Now we're getting to the students that literally defined an entire era of the shinobi world, the legendary Sannin. 3 Genin that Hiruzen himself took on as his personal team, and the fact that all 3 of them were considered for Hokage at different points tells you everything you need to know about the level Hiruzen brought them to. What did Hiruzen actually teach the Sannin? First, he made sure all 3 mastered the summoning technique, each with their own unique contract, and later, Jiraiya got toads, Tsunade got slugs, Orochimaru got snakes. Hiruzen understood that true power comes from partnership, from building connections beyond yourself. He also had a super powerful summon himself, Enma, so he understood. But more than that, he taught them the fundamentals that let them grow into completely different types of legendary shinobi. Think about what happened after they left his tutelage. During the Second Shinobi World War, these three fought Hanzo the Salamander, a man so dangerous he was called a demigod, and they were the only Konoha ninja to survive that battle. Hanzo himself was so impressed he gave them the title Legendary Sannin. But here's where it gets interesting. The Sannin were always in conflict with each other. Tsunade called it a three-way deadlock, and she wasn't wrong. They constantly disagreed, constantly competed, and eventually all three went their separate ways. Some fans say that's a failure of Hiruzen's teaching. That conflict, that rivalry, that's exactly what pushed each of them to reach heights they never would have achieved otherwise. Hiruzen gave three completely different people the tools to become legends in their own right, and that's actually harder to do. Kakashi. Moving on to Minato Namikaze's students, we need to talk about Kakashi Hatake, and this is where the student-teacher dynamic gets absolutely wild, because Kakashi wasn't just any student. This guy was a legitimate prodigy who was taking on A-rank missions at 13 years old. 13. Most kids that age are still learning basic three-man squad formations, and Kakashi was out there handling missions that could decide the outcome of wars. Here's what makes the Minato-Kakashi relationship so crucial to understand. Minato didn't just teach Kakashi techniques. What Minato really hammered into him was something Kakashi initially struggled with his entire early life, the value of teamwork over individual strength. And that's ironic, right? Because Kakashi was so naturally gifted that he could have easily coasted on raw talent alone. He had everything: ninjutsu talent, taijutsu skill, battle IQ. You see, later on he developed into a ninja whose base level taijutsu was on par with Guy, without opening the gates, of course, as smart as Shikamaru, and mastered the Sharingan, like Sasuke. When you're just so good, it's easy to think you don't need anyone else. But Minato saw through that. He recognized that Kakashi's genius could become a weakness if he stayed isolated. The lesson really clicked when Obito Uchiha, Kakashi's teammate, gave him his Sharingan right before dying. That moment crystallized everything Minato had been trying to teach, and it was from that point on that Kakashi also learned to be less arrogant and impulsive. Later on, Kakashi became known as the Copy Ninja, a man whose reputation alone made S-rank Akatsuki members proceed with caution. He fought evenly with the genius Itachi Uchiha in combat. He fought Kisame and Kakuzu to standstills. Pain himself considered Kakashi a threat. Later in his career, he even pressured Koji Kashin, an enhanced clone of Jiraiya and one of Kara's strongest members, into retreating. That's the resume of someone who learned from one of the fastest shinobi in history. Oh, and he also learned the Rasengan. But here's the part that proves Minato's teaching stuck. The Sage of Six Paths himself said Kakashi's greatest strength wasn't his combat ability. It was his skill as a teacher and leader. Kakashi took what Minato taught him about teamwork and passed it down to Team 7, which directly contributed to defeating Kaguya Otsutsuki. Think about that progression. Minato taught Kakashi. Kakashi taught Naruto. And that chain of teaching helped save the entire world. Some people say Kakashi was just naturally talented and would have been great regardless. Maybe. But without Minato's influence, that talent might have burned out in isolation before it ever reached its full potential. Obito. Now let's talk about Obito Uchiha, and this is where things get complicated because we're looking at probably the most tragic student-teacher relationship in the entire series. Obito was on the same team as Kakashi under Minato's leadership. But here's the thing that people forget. When Obito was a genin, he was mediocre at best. Average on a good day. He struggled to keep up with his classmates at the academy, and watching Kakashi's natural talent while knowing he couldn't match it ate him alive. But unlike other Uchiha who were often geniuses but cold and brooding, he was warm, kind-hearted, and very spirited. He always emphasized that those who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. He valued his teammates above everything else, especially Rin Nohara, the girl he loved. That's why when Obito went back to save Kakashi during a mission and got crushed by a boulder, his final act was giving Kakashi his Sharingan. He wanted to give Kakashi, his comrade, the power to protect the one teammate they had left. Except he didn't die. Madara saved him, and then Obito witnessed Rin's death at Kakashi's hand. And that moment shattered everything. The world where teammates mattered, where bonds were sacred, where hard work led to acknowledgement. Obito decided that the world was fundamentally broken and needed to be destroyed. Here's what makes this so devastating. Obito was a late bloomer who dramatically improved under training. His time as Minato's student was relatively short, and his talent hadn't fully emerged before he was nearly crushed to death by a boulder. As a result, his power increased mainly after the Minato era, that is, during the time he trained under Madara. After Madara took over his education, Obito became powerful enough that people questioned if he actually was Madara. As a teenager, he took control of the 4th Mizukage and effectively controlled an entire hidden village. He nearly destroyed Konoha, and posed such a threat that Minato, his own teacher, became convinced Obito would bring catastrophe to the world. Later, as an adult, Obito held his own against Konoha's top shinobi and killer bee simultaneously. When he became the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki, his power exceeded Hashirama Senju himself. He fought 3 powerful Hokage with ease and could have destroyed the entire allied shinobi forces. But in the end, Obito was still the same Obito from the past. Later, when fighting the entire shinobi world, he still called Minato Sensei, and he even remembered the image of his teacher and teammates to help him control the power of the Ten-Tails. Rin Nohara. Rin Nohara is the 3rd member of Team Minato, and here's where we need to address something important. A lot of fans overlook Rin because she died young and her combat feats aren't flashy compared to Kakashi or Obito. Rin specialized as a medical ninja, but she also learned to use fire, water, and yang-release nature transformations, but of course her real value was her medical ninjutsu aptitude. She could teach her teammates basic first aid, which meant even if she went down, they had backup knowledge. The most impressive display of her skill? During a mission, she successfully implanted Obito's Sharingan into Kakashi's damaged eye socket using only basic medical tools in the middle of a war zone. Actually, dojutsu in Naruto are kind of like light bulbs. You can just pop them in and out with bare hands, no problem. But the most notable thing was that she was forced to become the 3-Tails Jinchuriki as part of a scheme to destroy Konoha. You know, not just anyone can become a host, so we can infer that she had a relatively strong physical foundation and chakra reserves. Shizune. Shizune is Tsunade's first apprentice, and this is where we see what happens when the greatest medical ninja in history decides to pass down her knowledge. Shizune became a Jonin-level medical ninja under Tsunade's tutelage, and the fact that Jiraiya trusted her enough to fight Kabuto Yakushi, Orochimaru's right-hand man, tells you everything about her capabilities. Under Tsunade's training, Shizune's chakra control became so refined that she could lead teams performing procedures where the slightest mistake would be fatal, like regenerating a person's entire injured body with new cells. During the 4th Shinobi World War, she was put in charge of the entire logistical support and medical division of the Allied shinobi forces. That's not a position you give to someone who's just decent. She couldn't use the strength of 100 technique, which means she took on a support role rather than direct combat. However, Shizune developed a combat style built around poison, something Tsunade herself rarely used. She can emit poisonous gas that's fatal from a single breath and coat her senbon and kunai with paralyzing toxins. She was even fast enough to catch Kabuto off guard during their first encounter. Sakura. Sakura Haruno is Tsunade's second apprentice, and this is probably the most dramatic student transformation in the entire series. When Sakura first joined Team 7 as a Geiche Nin, Shikamaru straight up called her a kunoichi with no particular talent. That's harsh, but it wasn't wrong. She was smart, but at that time it was only theoretical intelligence. That was it. During missions, she constantly relied on Sasuke and Naruto to carry her through combat situations. She knew it, they knew it, everyone knew it. But here's where Tsunade's teaching becomes absolutely crucial. Sakura recognized she was dead weight and made a choice. She sought out Tsunade and asked to be trained, and Tsunade saw something in her that most people missed. For 2.5 years, Tsunade rigorously forged her, and what came out the other side was a completely different shinobi. What did Tsunade actually teach Sakura? Everything. Medical ninjutsu at the highest level. Chakra control so precise she could heal injuries that would kill most people. And most importantly, the superhuman strength technique that Tsunade herself pioneered. That strength isn't just about punching hard. It requires perfect chakra control, split-second timing, and the ability to channel massive amounts of chakra into a single point. Tsunade also taught Sakura the strength of 100 seal, a technique that only a handful of people in history have ever mastered. Actually, officially, it's just 2, Tsunade and Sakura. By the time Sakura completed that seal during the Fourth Shinobi World War, she had finally earned her place fighting alongside her teammates. Think about that for a second. She was confident enough to shed the feeling of being a burden, and no longer needed to hide behind her two teammates for protection. Aside from Tsunade, she was the only medical ninja allowed to charge into the front lines, healing and tanking damage at the same time. Multiple high-level ninja remarked that she would likely surpass Tsunade, and after the war, Naruto himself made her the head of Konoha's medical department. Here's the controversy, though. Some fans argue Sakura never really caught up because she doesn't have the destructive output of Naruto or Sasuke. That's comparing apples to nuclear weapons. Sakura's role was never to match their offense. What Tsunade taught her was how to be the anchor that keeps everyone alive, the support that makes victory possible, and the medic who can turn a losing battle into a winnable one. She went from literal zero to becoming one of the greatest medical ninja in the world. If that's not the ultimate testament to Tsunade's teaching ability and Sakura's capability, I don't know what is. Team 7. Now we're getting to Team 7, and this is where Kakashi's role as a teacher becomes fascinating because he was working with arguably the most unbalanced team in Konoha's history at the beginning. You've got Naruto, the dead last student in his class, Sakura, who had book smarts but zero combat ability, and Sasuke, a prodigy from a massacred clan with a revenge obsession. On paper, this team should have imploded within a week. But here's what Kakashi understood that most people miss. He wasn't trying to turn them into masters of advanced jutsu right away. What Kakashi taught Team 7 were the fundamentals that every other teaching built upon: chakra control, teamwork, and the mindset of what it means to be a shinobi. He gave them the bell test, the same one Minato gave him, and unlike every previous Nin team he tested, they actually passed because they figured out the real lesson, that teammates matter more than individual success. Now, let's talk about what makes this complicated. Each member of Team 7 eventually left to train under one of the legendary Sannin. Naruto went to Jiraiya, Sakura went to Tsunade, and Sasuke went to Orochimaru. Some people argue that proves Kakashi's teaching wasn't enough, that they needed real masters to reach their potential. In reality, Kakashi truly didn't spend as much time with his students as other Jonin did. And later on, Sai even temporarily replaced Sasuke in Team 7's lineup. But Kakashi was, in fact, the teacher who stayed with them all the way until the final battle. Moreover, Kakashi's influence on Sasuke was much greater than most people realize. Kakashi taught him the Chidori, his signature lightning-style assassination technique. That wasn't just handing over a cool move. The Chidori requires incredible chakra control, precise timing, and the Sharingan to use effectively. Kakashi was teaching Sasuke how to leverage his Uchiha bloodline in combat. Later, Sasuke developed that single technique into an entire system of lightning-style jutsu. The Chidori became the foundation for everything from Chidori Senbon to, everything later. Without Kakashi's initial teaching, none of that evolution happens. Here's the real measure of Kakashi's success as a teacher. During the Fourth Shinobi World War, Team 7 reunited and fought against the Ten Tails, Obito, Madara, and finally Kaguya Otsutsuki. The Sage of Six Paths himself said Kakashi's greatest strength was as a teacher and leader, and that strength was vital in defeating Kaguya. 3 kids who should have been a disaster as a team became the group that helped save the entire world. That was thanks to Kakashi, who connected all 3 of them together. Konohamaru. Konohamaru Sarutobi is Naruto's first real student, and this relationship is interesting because it started way before Naruto ever became Hokage. When they first met, Naruto was still a genin, and Konohamaru was just an academy student who was failing his classes. But Konohamaru wasn't failing because he lacked talent. He was lazy and wanted quick results without putting in the work. Sound familiar? That's exactly who Naruto used to be. What did Naruto teach Konohamaru that actually mattered? The first lesson was perseverance. Naruto showed him through example that there are no shortcuts to real strength. You put in the hours, you fail, you get back up, and you keep training until your body remembers the technique even when your mind is exhausted. Once Konohamaru internalized that lesson, his talents exploded. He went from struggling with basic academy jutsu to becoming someone Temari acknowledged for pressuring her in combat. He even managed to take down Pain's Naraka path during the village invasion, which is an insane feat for a geinin. But the technique that defines their student-teacher relationship is the Rasengan. Naruto taught Konohamaru his signature move, and this matters more than people realize. The Rasengan isn't just a powerful attack. Learning it requires understanding chakra rotation, control, and concentration. At first, Konohamaru needed a shadow clone to form it, just like Naruto originally did. But eventually, he mastered it. Then he learned the Big Ball Rasengan without anyone teaching him how. As an adult, he can perform it with both hands simultaneously, and here's where it gets crazy. He could use wind release to strengthen his Rasengan. Before Konohamaru, only Naruto himself had ever accomplished that. He can even create a wind barrier around it strong enough to block a Chidori strike from Hidari, a member of the God Tree. By adulthood, Konohamaru became one of Konoha's top jonin, regarded an elite of the Sarutobi clan. He can summon both giant toads and ninja monkeys. He mastered his grandfather Hiruzen's techniques like Fire Dragon Flame Bullet. He became proficient in Bojutsu, Fuinjutsu, and multiple nature transformations including fire, wind, lightning, earth, and yang release. He wields trench blade knuckles like his late uncle Asuma and can use the flying swallow technique to deflect enemy attacks. Some fans say Konohamaru never lived up to the hype because he's not on the same level as Naruto and Sasuke, and actually, he shared the same dream Naruto once had to become Hokage and carry on the will of fire. But it seems like that dream is hard to realize now, because the newer generation is getting buffed like crazy. And Konohamaru's background, although it has a lot of potential and is genuinely inspiring, seems to have been forgotten as the author shifted focus to the next generation.